welcome officially. I want to roll out a red carpet because I don't know if we have ever had a guest at Twiniversity that has had more media coverage than you.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
You are everywhere. So it's great. And the fact that you actually are like love Twiniversity is a bonus point for me. But I'm
Oh
more
God.
excited to talk to you than you could ever imagine. So for you guys that are listening out there in the universe, Maggie has one of the most interesting Twinny stories that we have heard in a while. And I am so inspired on a regular basis about how they're freaking crushing it. You're like, you've made some like serious stock humans there, miss. Like
Oh,
they're unbelievable. So
they are
I
strong
wanna
girls.
I want to dive in. I want to talk about kind of like the beginning, that initial reaction, but I really want to focus on the now. And I want to focus on this is going to sound crazy and probably not what you talk to, like the Today Show and crap about. But I want to talk about like the day to day functioning of being a twin parent with
Mhm.
kids that have more needs than a typical kid. So that's what I want to focus on because, you know, there's going to be definitely people who are going to walk in your shoes as that's how we've met in this first place was me finding you and saying, listen, we have somebody who, has been down the road that you've been on and, would you help? And you literally were like, yep, I'm in like, whatever, like boom, boom, boom. It was minutes you replied. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to bother her. I know she has so much on her plate, but I want to focus on that because that's something that we should really all be taking a page out of Maggie's book with. Like, I want to talk about time management and balancing and scheduling. Like that is the holy grail of what we need to learn from you if you are willing to teach us.
Super generous that you're saying all that about me. I think these girls have made me stronger. So it's easy to talk about them. It's
Oh,
they're crazy little miracles, and I just can't believe it every day I see them. And just to see them wake up in their cribs at home, it's just mind blowing. It's amazing, and I'm just honored to be their mom. I'm just very, very honored. So yeah.
that's why, and this is why you're going to be welcomed in my home, Maggie. That's literally it. Okay, so let's go. You find out that you are having twinnies, and then you have, was it an eventful pregnancy up until 20 weeks? Like, was it pretty boring, mundane? Did you know that something was going on? Like, were there any red flags?
There were none. I mean, I had like a typical pregnancy at 7.5. So I had a miscarriage right before them. So we were very, very nervous to go in for just a regular ultrasound when we found out we were pregnant again.
Okay.
It was about 3 months later. So we were lucky, got pregnant again, and then I went to go in at 7.5 weeks for our first ultrasound. And they had just said, hey, the baby looks good, the heartbeat's there, because, we had gone through seeing no heartbeat before. So it was great to see that. But the problem that kind of arose and made me a little nervous was they said, it's COVID. We don't want people in the office that much. Dom didn't come to he didn't come to any of my ultrasounds because he wasn't allowed in. So it was just, let's have you back in 20 weeks for your anatomy scan. We'll do, every 2 weeks we'll do heartbeat checks though. And so I kept going in and they just kept hearing a healthy heartbeat. And there was nothing, like no double like little murmur or heartbeat that you'd be like, wait a minute, I don't understand why it sounds like that. So they just kept going and 20 weeks came by and I was super excited to go in and just see this baby because I just thought, oh my gosh, my belly is just growing. And Dom at one point had joked. He said, "Are you sure there's not two in there? Like
Um,
you're really sucking." And I go, "Oh, dude, you're not supposed to say those things to, anybody. And so I walked in for my 20 week and Dom stayed in the car. I was going to FaceTime him. Um, and I told the ultrasound tech, I'm super excited. I'm ready to see this baby. It's growing. And um, she said, when was your last ultrasound? I said, 7.5 weeks. She goes, oh my goodness. And she put the wand on my belly. And I remember seeing two heads. And that was all I really just kind of paused and looked at her and I went, are there two of them? And she turned to me and looked at me and and she had kind of some tears building up in her eyes. And so I didn't know if she was just scared that I was finding out that I was having twins and might freak out. But she goes, oh, I'm sorry, I gotta go get the doctor.
Mhm.
And she left. And I remember, I think everybody in those moments of you being nervous and also in shock in a way, you're in shock. I was in shock just because of like, okay, twins. And I just thought right away, though, I thought, gosh, what a blessing. I mean, maybe they sent, our other little one back and just said, here you go. And
Yeah.
so it was kind of very emotionally, like exciting for me though, in a way, because I was like, you know what? This is it. Like, we're going to have two babies and this is what's meant to be. And God's got it. Like, this is what we're going to do. And the doctor came back in the room and just, she looked at the ultrasound and she looked very concerned. And I said, does this happen often? And she said, uh, this has never happened in my career. And I said, finding out that there's multiples in there. And she said, no, we think their little tummies are connected. And I said, okay, all right, and I just remained calm because you have to, because that's your situation you're in and you're picked for this for a reason. And so I just said, okay, that's okay. We'll just separate them, and little did I know, our surgeon down the way was probably gonna, smack me in the face for saying that, like, oh, sure, it's that easy. And slowly we learned, so they called dad in and they took us to a back room, finally allowed him to come in during COVID and just explain the situation to us that like right away we have to go. That day we went to the MFM. So the maternal fetal medicine doctor, who's the high risk doctor for
Mhm.
pregnancy. So we got rushed over there and they kind of talked us through and said, hey, this is very, very high risk and most likely these babies won't survive. Like they just won't even make it to birth. And so we said, well, do all the research you can and do all the tests we need to do to make sure we know what all's in store for us. So we kind of went off of that and it was, every step of the way, we just kind of heard better things every day, like they shared a liver, they shared a diaphragm. And the biggest thing was they had two separate hearts and those hearts were still beating strong. And Dom and I just kind of, after doing all our research, said, we're keeping these girls and we're gonna give them names, and we named them Hope and Faith so that they could feel like they were gonna live through this and they were gonna make it. So that was kind of our beginning journey.
That is definitely, I think a lot of times finding out twins, of course, is legendary, and this is
Yeah.
a whole different game. So when you started talking to your MFM, how soon did you realize, like, okay, we're doing great, everything is
Mhm.
great, we're gonna, we're having our girlies, and when did you start to breathe into the, yeah, this is gonna be good? Or was it never like that? Were you on pins and needles throughout your entire pregnancy?
It was weird, Nat. I think that what happened was um, we found out at like 22 weeks, we did like amniocentesis where they, kind of
Mhm.
test everything. And, because we just really wanted to know even quality of life, like, what because I think that's a big factor in this of, um, I don't want these girls to not have a chance and suffer. And yeah, I want them to live a great life. And I am here to take them all that way if they are okay, you know. Um, and so we found out at 22 weeks that they were, that everything turned out fine. They were like the, normal babies. Um, they look very healthy in a way. And then they just said, so you have 2 weeks to decide if you want to keep them. And they said,
Wow.
in Illinois, it's 24 weeks that you can abort a baby. So, and they go through, like those steps, and those steps are just very sad. And I just couldn't imagine it. And I just said, I just think God gave us these girls for a reason.
Yeah.
And what's crazy about that is, so Dominic's dad, actually, passed right before we got married, which was like 2 years, almost 2 years ago from when the girls were born. And when I got pregnant after my miscarriage, he said that he prayed to his dad that this baby would have the power to change the world. And when he told me that after we found out about the girls, I just thought, these girls are just going to change the world. Like, we've got this, and let's do it. Let's commit to this and just bring them out and show them the world. And I honestly, I wish I, like, I don't even have that story of like, oh God, we were so like, we were just like, I don't know why it was like at peace of like, we just got dealt a different card, but I feel like just we have God here with us, and He's going to take us this far. And if it's not meant, and if they don't make it, they don't make it. But we've given it our all, and we've tried. So like that was kind of our mentality the whole time. Like don't worry until we absolutely have to worry.
Perfect.
And I think that's just parenting. Like,
Yes, absolutely. That should be like our philosophy for everything, because if that's like our mantra, right? So during
yeah,
pregnancy, it's what I will literally text people if they text me that they're stressed about something. I always say, don't worry until somebody tells you to worry, because until
exactly.
then, there's nothing that we could do about it anyway. We're
Yeah,
just
you
gonna
can
have to
Google
breathe
whatever
into
you
it.
want,
Yep.
and you can find all the bad things or the things you
Yep.
don't want to hear. But like it is what it is, and you're just gonna really give yourself a lot of anxiety unless you just keep calm
Yeah.
and just hope for the best, and because sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
you know.
So now you get to how many weeks before delivery day?
Um. So delivery day was 30. We delivered them at 34 and a half weeks. That's how
34 and
old
a
they
half
were.
weeks. That's
Yeah.
that's that's longer than I went, for the record. So 34 and a half
Wow.
weeks. Yeah. So you did, like, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
these little chicks who are going to change our world, or are changing the world. It's present tense, seriously.
Thanks.
So if once they're born, and
Mhm.
did they immediately get whisked to the NICU, or were they like, okay, look, everybody is kind of stable and we're going to have a moment, together in the delivery room, or were they just gone?
They got whisked away pretty fast.
Okay.
So yeah, they were born, and they grabbed them and kind of went to the room next door that's kind of connected.
Hmm.
And I think that was the only thing that I was kind of bummed about, because
Yeah.
you see all these different things that happen in, in movies and pregnancies, and hear about that moment you get to hold your baby or see them. And so I was really that was my sad part of that. I was happy the girls were stable,
Hmm.
obviously, but I couldn't hear at first. I just waited and waited to hear them cry, because I had been told you want to hear them cry. And so they took them out and said, like, they're fine, but I couldn't hear them cry. And then they opened the door and I heard them crying.
Oh,
And so my
perfect.
heart, I just melted, and I knew that like, wow, we've just made it this far. And it was kind of cool because our surgeon, she was there for the delivery, just in case, like, just in case they needed to do anything fast. This is the work from home. Um, but yeah, so they when they were when she actually took her camera and was in there just taking pictures everywhere. And one of my favorite pictures she got, I was like, oh, you should become a photographer instead of saving lives. And she took a picture of the girls with one arm was just up in the air straight. And it's in one of the documentaries, or in the YouTube documentary. But it was like the coolest photo I've ever seen of, like, we made it. Because you get to a point where you think like, oh, we're safe, we're going to go to delivery, we're at 32 weeks, 33 weeks. And then you're like, okay, it's time to get them out. And I was like, and I'm sure as a mom, since this was my first successful pregnancy, um, as a mom, when you have that baby in your belly, I felt I was protecting them.
Yeah, you
And
were.
so it's very strange. It was very strange going into delivery because I just felt like, oh my goodness, I'm going to deliver these girls and then I can't protect them anymore. I have to rely on other people too. And so that was a very strange realization for me. And I think that's my most nervous I was going into delivery. Like, I just thought, okay, how do I still be there for them and take care of them? So I knew, like, we both knew going in to this whole journey, like, we're really going to have to advocate for these girls and make sure that we're all over it.
It's
So
really tough when you know that your babies are gonna need, surgery post-delivery, which, it happens. Sometimes it's minimal and sometimes it's very significant, but it is. You have this wonderful little cocoon that you made for them, and the way
yeah,
that they're shielded from the world, and you're
yeah,
giving them everything that you could feel them, and they're okay, and it's so comforting to know
it
that
is.
they're okay, and then once they're out, it's different.
Yeah,
You could see that they're okay and people could tell you that they're okay, but
yeah,
that connection of them to you, it's just different.
yeah,
It changes and there's a lot of people who struggle with that. So no, one of the
yeah,
best things about where you delivered was that they are so thoughtful about taking care of the whole family and making
yeah.
sure that you feel, whole as a parent and that you're very prepared for everything that's before you. Looking back now, do you think that there was anything that you could have done differently to prepare you a little bit better for what was to come?
The only thing that we uh, wish we would have researched maybe a little bit more, and I mean, we would never have changed where we went. Um, is just, we did so much research on the delivery and separation, but really the care is the big part.
Yeah.
And all the things that could possibly go wrong, you don't know that yet. So, there was a lot of stuff that happened because they were in the NICU so they stayed in the NICU for about 4.5 months. And then they ended up going to the PICU. Um, so that was kind of crazy. Um, but like the NICU, it's just a different environment, and it's I think I would have researched more what all I could do to learn about caring for babies in the NICU myself. I mean, like, nurses are great, but you're their mom, so, like, I had to, like, you really have to be there, and be there for your kid, because I mean, nurses get switched out all the time.
Yep.
So, it's all about that continuity of care, and so that was something that we hadn't researched a lot about, so getting there, we were like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
Like, um, what do you mean that nurse just learned our girls and now they're switching? So it was a
It's
very
it's true.
it is. It's something that I think every parent and the NICU, if you're there for, a long enough time, you get very frustrated during that time.
Mhm.
And it's something that we weren't prepared for.
Mm.
So, but you know what? Children's Hospital of Philly was super, super good at, working with us on that. Cause I just said, we came here because you specialize in this kind of surgery and delivery. But most of the people who had cared for other conjoined sets of twins weren't there anymore to
Yeah.
care. So that's why it was very tough. It was like everybody was relearning and they were very open to relearning. It was just that it was a process and those processes take a long time. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I wish I would have researched a little bit more.
It's one of those things that in hindsight that we always say, like, yes, you should look, a little bit more at the NICU and learn about the NICU. But truthfully too, like honestly, Maggie, like everybody's kid is so different. So you might be able to
Oh
learn
yeah.
like the logistics of what it's
Yeah.
like in the NICU. And we have plenty of podcasts and stuff on that with moms who have been in there for months and months and months, be it that they,
Yeah.
28 weekers and
Yeah.
they just have to finish kind of cooking there. So
Right.
when you knew that you were getting discharged, okay, so now
Yep.
you're getting to that borderline and you knew that this was gonna have to go to the next phase.
Hmm.
What were you doing as far as like gear goes? Like what about like car seats and
Well, and this was yeah, no, it's a great question. And this was what was so funny is I did not want to jinx anything before I delivered, so I didn't have a baby shower. And I specifically asked my mother-in-law and mother not to do it. Just because like we didn't know what was going to happen. So we had already bought, actually the day before we went into that anatomy scan and found out about the girls, we had bought just one crib.
Okay.
And so, the next day we're like, well, we gotta buy another crib, hopefully. And so we both said not yet. And then, so once we were getting discharged, it was like a sprint.
Yeah.
It was a sprint in a lot of ways, because even just figuring out how to get the girls home
Yeah.
was difficult. But we had so much help and everybody at CHOP was so good. And then we went to Lurie's Hospital in Chicago
Mhm.
for 2 weeks before getting home, which was super helpful because it was like transfer of care.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of had to like, I was, Googling a million different things because there was so many complexities within this because the girls don't have, like really a chest wall
Mhm.
and they have all mesh from inside from their chest down to their stomach and like abs because they don't have really a lot of abs.
Okay.
And so it's just super soft right now. It will get harder by the chest. But like just not having a sternum or anything like that, you get concerned on what can be on them, even like a seatbelt or a stroller. So I was trying to Google stuff with that. And then I was, and they're at a different age. So we had to skip, infancy. Now we're at toddler almost because the girls got separated 11 months old. And then on top of that, it was like, um, you know, I I also just wanted them to be normal. So, just to have like even a jumper at home that we could put them in to just make them feel like this is normal for you to put your feet on the ground and feel and play. And so that was kind of crazy. And then also an added complexity, as you've probably seen, is that they both have trachs.
Mhm.
And they're on their vents. And so they're doing really well and they're off the vent for about 3 to 4 hours a day right now. And so the goal is obviously 24 hours off the vent and slowly get the trachs out. But it's a long process. And with that comes different, like the obstacles of what can we use to take them out for just a walk, like so they each have a double stroller, where, their vents go in. So I had to do a lot of research, from discharge to coming home, um, on what we could use for them. Just because their trachs and the vents, it's like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and you're just, it's nothing that somebody just hands you a pamphlet and goes, this is what you buy. This is what you do. So that was the tough part. But like in hindsight, everything after separation surgery and the girls being healthy isn't tough. So I think that's the just how we visualize life right now with them being at home. It's just we're home and just watching like a movie like Frozen or sitting on the couch with them and knowing that nobody's gonna come and like take their blood today or come in for an ultrasound or they're great. All they do is they smile and they laugh, they have a great time, and they're doing great. So it's just a blessing. It's just like I think every day we just sit there and look at each other, and Dom and I go like, what happened?
I
This
could
last
imagine.
year, what happened,
It has been a whirlwind. So how old are they now today?
So they're 14 months, almost 15 months. On the 18th, February 18th, they'll be 15 months. Yeah, so it's cool. And what's crazy right now, yeah, is like just for me to dress them up every day is like my favorite thing. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are gonna get
Yeah.
this outfit on today. Because for so long, we couldn't really put any clothes on them. Like
Yeah.
we had, I would somehow like stitch up some clothing for them, like connect it to take like, monthly pictures. Because in the beginning of this whole journey, we were very private.
Yeah.
We did not share our story. And so this has been very, different. So, I mean, but we told our story just to like, inspire other families and really know what could be possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also wanted to help raise funds for, our surgeon, Dr. Hedrick, and her team at Philly. So they could, continue to like impact and transform their pediatric surgical unit. I mean, they've transformed our lives. So, but yeah, they ended up starting an Addie and Lily Fund for transformational surgical care. So, and they've had, even just right now, actually, they had a generous donor. We've had a generous donor come forward, and he's going to match up to dollar for dollar $2 million if you donate before Valentine's Day. And so we're making it so if you give a gift, it becomes two. So make one become two, kind of like the girls, and it's going to make a huge impact. And again, it all goes back to the power to change the world. Like
Yeah.
I look at these girls and I'm like, you have no idea, like what you're going to do for other families, and I hope that they're proud of that when they get older. I just hope that they really embrace this, and because it's you worry about stuff as a mom. You just worry that you've made that right decision, and I just want them to be proud. That's all.
I think they will be. I don't think that's a want. I think that's going to
Thanks.
be, they're still going to drive you crazy. They're still not going to clean their room. They're
No,
still going to date people
and
that
I
you don't
can't wait
like.
for that. I
Yes.
cannot wait
Oh,
for
it's going to
that.
happen. That's all right, Maggie.
I'll
We'll
think back
talk
to
that
these
over
other
that.
times, like,
Yeah.
oh, remember when you were nervous when they were coming back from surgery and hoping they'd just survive, and now they're thriving.
And now they're driving you crazy and you can't wait for them
Mhm.
to shut up for 2 seconds. And
Exactly.
why are they
Yeah.
bickering? Yeah, like
Yeah.
those are the things that you have to like keep your eye on, because
Yeah.
that's what's getting you through everything. You always have to think about that. Like, it's tough though. It's tough. Like, it's easier said than done, as you know. You're going to have
Oh
moments
God.
of
Yeah.
doubt and,
Yeah.
sheer panic, but you just have to be like, okay, we got a job to do. Here's what we're
Yeah.
Okay, so now this is where you are the holy grail. How are you managing all of this? Because you still have to be a human yourself. You have a team for the ladies that is, they're coming to help you medically and personally, and you
Yeah.
still have to eat every day and everybody has to. How
Yeah.
are you balancing all of this? Do you keep a master journal? Is it an app? How do you schedule your day so that it doesn't go off the rails super quickly?
Yeah, I actually wasn't a very organized person before this, so I laugh at the situation that we're in now. But again, it goes back to my girls and how they've made me stronger and a better person, because And I'm very, very fortunate and lucky that my husband is very, very good at hustling and helping and doing all that he does. So, and right now he's working from home, so that's a bigger bonus. But honestly, I think it's just really having a calendar has been super helpful just because the scheduling is insane. We have like, different nurses some days no nursing, some days they have physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, developmental therapy, and then, just doctor's appointments and stuff. And so it's really, the calendar is a big deal. And like, I feel like a journal is not what I have, but I have a note that is literally like in my phone as like, this is my Bible. And if
Okay.
there's any to-dos I got to do, it's very helpful, but it's also helpful, I will say, to any moms out there with twins, and I know that mine's even, like a little different, but it's good to have that self-care time too for yourself. Like I take that time to like I still go and have my workout, and because you can't burn yourself out, and you have to just really take time to like even during that time, like I could sit in quiet and just, get through some emails. That's even to me sometimes self-care where I'd have my cup of coffee or I go on a podcast. um, but like just the normal, like just check yourself, and I feel like that has been super, super helpful. And I think that's why I'm starting to learn that's why moms love nap time.
It's true. That's the best part of our day.
Yeah,
So now,
exactly.
before we started recording, you said that you and Dom, when you guys were down in Philly, that you would take little trips and you would have like time
Yep.
together every Friday. When
Yeah.
now that everybody is home, are you
Yep.
guys still trying to make that a priority, or is it much more
Oh yeah,
important that you each have your own time?
yeah, we're trying. He actually just mentioned it the other day. He's like, remember when we used to date? But we we've gone out once. So the girls came home from Lurie's Children's Hospital on December 15th, so right before Christmas. And since then, we've only had like one night where we kind of well, yeah, one night we had a nurse. I asked if a nurse could be here, and I'll have my parents here, so the grandparents were here. And we just went out to dinner for like 2 hours, and that was super, super nice. So that was one date night, and we're working on the next one. But I think what's scary right now with the girls is, um, since they have their trachs, it's super dangerous to just at any time something could happen. And not that I'm saying it could with every other child, but but I mean, like right when we got home, a week after we got home, we had like an emergency happen in a pediatrician's office. So and him and I really had to step up because everyone froze. Like they just didn't know what to do because it's different. It's not a hospital. It's a coding situation. And so, we really took our training seriously because Dom and I were trained for about 6 weeks on, vents, trach, CPR, anything you could possibly need. And they're like, you're going to know the best out of anybody. I mean, you can call 911 all you want, but they could get there and be like, I'm not sure what we're, like, this is just a very different situation. So, that's kind of part of, so that's kind of what we, that's part of it. So
It is. That's okay. We forgive you. Whoever is walking in the room.
It's Dom.
it's,
Hi,
I
Dom.
just posted on Instagram and I'm so excited about fueling the future. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so excited to hear how Maggie and Twiniversity, is going.
Who knew? Dom. And then honestly, there's a lot more she's going to tell you after this. So there's a lot more to the story. Wait till you hear later.
Oh,
that was our pre-record discussion.
Oh, yeah.
So it's good. I'm amazed by you guys. You guys, like, honestly, I'm we have a lot of amazing families at Twiniversity, I have to say, but truthfully, it's not only the fact that you guys have, a very different story, but Dom, I don't know if you know, but how this came to be is that we have another mom that's currently expecting conjoined twins. And
Maggie
so
shared with that. Yeah.
what that's like literally the power of Twiniversity is I'm just like, boom, I'm gonna find somebody right now. Like
Right.
this person doesn't have to be by themselves. So like honestly, Maggie, like had you messaged me during your pregnancy, I may have been able to do more outside of the
Oh,
chicken farm.
I should have found you guys earlier. Yeah.
Honestly, the way that she even found me was she actually contacted a gear company and the gear company contacted me. So
Wow.
it was like a step of a step, but I'm all about community. Like I will knock on every door and you guys are now in the same situation. Like you have to advocate for yourselves, but I'm here to advocate for people who just right now
Thank
don't
you.
have the energy. So the fact that your wonderful bride literally freaking was like, boom, I got within minutes, Dom. She's the best. She's the best. So
I know she is.
keep her.
Thank you.
We're very lucky. And thank you for sharing our story. And, we're all jazzed up about this $2 million matching gift for
I
Dr.
know. Literally, my wheels right now, literally, you have to see the notes. I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Ba, 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 ba. I got you, Holmes. I got you.
Well, thank you.
so much.
Thank you for fueling it. And fuel the future has been my motto. I'm so jacked up on it. And so thank you. I'll let you be, but thank you
It's
so
great.
much.
Thanks for stopping by. Thanks. We enjoyed having you.
Special guest.
My pleasure. All right. See you.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah.
Maggie, I don't know if his next wife is going to be as wonderful as you. So I don't know. I'm going to have to say. That's it. That's it. I don't know. This is, it's, there's so much that you guys have going on. And like, really, I'm still floored, but I love that that you're part of this community. And I know that, this
No,
is,
I feel so lucky to, to even have talked to you. I mean, just to have somebody to talk to, it's fun, I love it.
it's just me. I mean, I'm not going to be anybody fancy, but it's, if you want to ever slum it down by Twiniversity and not be on, fancy regular networks, if you need us, there's a lot that's going to come up, and it's not only like medical stuff, and it's not going to be trach related. It's going to be, potty training, and it's going to be fighting and sibling rivalry and, jealousy. And that's when we could be of most benefit to you when you're texting me and I'm like, okay, I'm Instacarting you 2 bottles of rosé, put them in
Oh, amen.
So.
Yeah, you know what's funny too, man? It's just like it reminds me all the normalcies of just having twins, or a baby. But in the hospital, they would have so many things happen where they would be like, "Oh my god, why are they crying? Oh my gosh!" And I'd be like, maybe she's teething. Like maybe she's just a baby. So it was true. Funny. It's like, wait, these girls are just babies. So that's the fun part of coming home and having people come and meet the girls finally, because nobody came to meet them they weren't allowed in. So then now for people to come meet them, they go, oh my God, they're just like, they're just them. They're just babies. And I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, they have been the whole time. And I think that's why, Dom's talked about it before, is, when they came out, it was so wild because they have their own personalities. So we were just like, they're just Addie and Lily. And still to this day, it's great that they are still just Addie and Lily, because I was very nervous about this surgery because I just thought, oh my God, I hope this is how I knew them, and for them to become individuals, like just separate bodies, like, oh my gosh, what is this going to be like? And they're still just my Addie and Lily, and they just keep thriving and progressing and just have this spirit about them that it is so amazing. And I am so thankful for them.
They're unstoppable little chicks. They're going to be
I know. I can't wait. It's going to be great.
Maggie, I honestly, it sounds weird. I know it's too soon in our relationship, but I genuinely, I have so much, I really do. I love you. I have so much love and like for you guys. It's not just admiration. It's genuinely like my heart is with you, and I'm going to take those deep breaths and I'm sending them to the girls, and I'm sending them, honestly, the girls are going to be okay. Medical stuff is going to be good. I'm sending it to you for strength. Like just keep that up, because if you're good, they're going to be better. And if Dom's great and you and Dom are great, you guys are going to be better. Like It's
Yeah.
I'm so like, thank God I don't have to like be like, okay, like, are you taking a moment for yourself? Because so many people just let themselves go.
I
They're no
know.
good to anybody, and then you're another person to take care of. And
Oh,
right
I
now,
know.
you've got your paws full, and
Yeah.
it's there's so much goodness on the horizon, and
Oh,
I am
yeah.
just I'm ready to know if they're wearing the same color for prom. I need to know if, one's gonna have short hair, if they're not gonna have the same
Oh god.
hairstyle because they
I
don't
can't
want
wait.
people to know they're twins. I
I know.
there's so many great moments that we get to watch, and because you have decided to kind of
Yeah.
talk about it and show people what's happening, it gives
Mhm.
us to be like, okay, it puts things into perspective that if these two
Yeah.
chicks are like they're crushing it, we could crush it
Yeah.
too. We could crush it
Yeah.
too. Mm.
No, I really appreciate you being a part of our journey because we've like we've talked about our favorite part about this whole journey really is that there's just so many good people in the world and there's so much good. So during this time that's super important to just focus on. So I really
It's
appreciate
true.
it.
And we find each other and we're lucky. And,
Yeah.
I don't know if we just seem to have the bulk of good people at Twiniversity. And
Yeah.
maybe there is something to be said for people that, have more struggle than most that give
Yeah.
back the most.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of us didn't have the easiest road, certainly. And everybody's hard is their hard. So while for the listeners that are out there, you could say right now, like, oh my gosh, at least I'm not Maggie. Sure. But you know what? That's not actually getting us anyplace, right? What's going to say
Yeah.
is everybody's hard is their hard. And your hard right now that you're experiencing in your life and your world is your hardest. And it's just
Yeah.
you have to put that in perspective. Nobody's winning. We're all doing this together. We're all getting to the finish line together. Nobody is
Yeah.
ahead of anybody else. But if we stay together, it definitely makes things a lot easier. So Maggie, I'm
Yeah.
so happy that you're part of our family.
Oh, thank you for letting me join it. I love it.
It was too
And we'll definitely come visit you in New York when we come out.
Oh, that's a given. All right. So Maggie, you sit right there. And for those of you that are listening, we're going to put 200 or 300 links below to all different places that you could find more information on the ladies. And if you need inspiration, that is definitely a good place to start. But yeah, we're going to put all that below. And if you do have questions for me or for Maggie, or if you are going through something that is challenging and you're like, nobody in the world knows about this, I will say, trust me when I tell you, you are not alone. So you could
Yeah.
email us immediately at community@twiniversity.com, or you could send us a direct message on literally any social platform. We have people that are pretty much manning the messages. I would say a good 15 hours a day because they're way too type A and they probably should all take breaks too. If you're listening, you guys should you go get a new cup of coffee, everybody. But we're here to do exactly this. We're here to connect you guys, to make you know that you're always going to be supported, and we will win if we do this together. So until next time, guys, thanks for listening. Go click on those links, and typically I don't say get off this page, but get off this freaking page because you got some work to do before Valentine's Day. So see you later, alligators.